Setting up logical dependencies are done directly from the information code list. And you can get in there from items, customers, vendors, whatever. So just go from my item list into my specification and further on into my information code. So this is the list of information code in my system. So if I am on my gear, for instance, I can navigate into my config dependencies, and those config dependencies determine the dependencies for gear. You can see 4 of them here, whereas if I was on my bike type and navigated into the same list, my configuration dependencies, you can see other dependencies. And from this window, if you prefer, you could just clear the filter and see all the setup. In the setup, you determine an information code saying here, like if the information code is bike type and the information value is city bike, the gear has to be different from a 20 gear. Likewise, if it's a bike type, the next line, city bike, the gear has to be different from 21. So this is one way of saying, those two lines is one way of saying that if it's a city bike, the gear cannot be those 2 gear. And on the other hand here, it says if it's a Colibri bike, the gear cannot be those 3 gear. On the other hand, if it's a mountain bike, the gear can be those 2 gear, 20 gear and 21 gear. And if it's a mountain bike, the tire type can only be this tire here. So in this way, you can set up from one information code the dependencies to another information code, and in the relation or the test type, you can determine if it can be the value you enter, if it has to be equal to the value you enter, or it has to be different from the value you enter. So for instance, if my bike type is sport, my gear has to be a 16 gear bike. This is the way you set up the logical dependencies.